Gentlemen, thank you all for coming this evening. We'd like to get started promptly at 6. A little housekeeping, if we can. We have a roughly 10-minute presentation to share before we'll open it up for questions. We are asking that questions this time be limited to those that are related to this presentation or system-wide general in nature. If you have specific questions about your property, your billing, or anything else, we are having staff hang out after this presentation. We also have business cards in the back, or please, feel free to take one. We can follow up by phone or email. With me today, I have Water Wastewater Superintendent Briggs and Public Works Director Searles. Mr. Briggs is responsible for operations at both the water and wastewater plants, and Mr. Searles, among other responsibilities, oversees the maintenance and improvements to our water distribution and sanitary sewer collection system. My name is Colleen O'Toole, and I am the city manager. To start, we'd like to give residents a better understanding of the water treatment process at our facility. So the city of Saline is served by 5 wells. Water from those wells is pumped to our water treatment plant and filtered through 3 green sand media filters to remove iron and manganese. The filtered water is then put through a reverse osmosis system to reduce hardness. This process removes nearly everything, so some filtered water is then blended back in to achieve the desired chemical composition that's associated with the taste and feel that people are accustomed to. From there, the water is chlorine disinfected, and then fluoride and phosphates are added in for corrosion control. The final treated water is tested at the system entry point and then circulated into the distribution system and our elevated storage tanks or water towers. As you can imagine, the testing requirements for drinking water are highly regulated. The city tests daily at the treatment plant for hardness, iron, pH, phosphorus, chlorine, and fluoride. Water quality testing also does not occur exclusively at the plant. We do tests within the distribution system. We perform 12 tests per month for bacteria and residual chlorine in the system, and 4 tests a month for pH, alkalinity, sulfates, chloride, and orthophosphates. There are also other annual or semi-annual regulatory tests that we're required to perform, such as for lead. I'm happy to share the city does consistently produce drinking water that is well within the safety parameters established by state and federal regulations. Now, over the last 3 to 4 weeks, outside of those particular parameters, we have seen an increase in the average hardness levels and iron levels at the plant and in the system. This is manifesting for residents experiencing harder than normal water at their faucets or discolored water in their homes. So what is causing the problem? There are 2 major projects driving the recent uptick in iron and hardness. The first was a planned effort to rehabilitate our green sand media filters. So that involved repairing valves, repainting tanks, and replacing all of the internal filter components. That project is now about 60% of the way complete, with 1 of the 3 tanks fully rehabbed and placed back online, and a second expected to be back online within another 1 to 2 weeks. The good news is, since it's winter, once that second filter is placed online, the 3rd unit can be taken out, and we should still be able to meet the existing demand of the system with just 2 units. We do anticipate the 3rd unit will be completed before the year's end, so put back online well before peak demand season. The second project impacting hardness was an unplanned repair. So a component of our reverse osmosis unit failed and resulted in the process needing to be bypassed. The replacement component has been ordered and is expected to be installed within the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is directly impacting the overall hardness levels within the system. And then not related to hardness or iron per se, but certainly an important project for everyone to be aware of is the replacement of well number 4. So the 5 wells that serve the city, one of them, well number 4, failed in 2022 and needed to be immediately replaced to ensure that we can reach peak capacity. The process for siting, testing, permitting, and ultimately installing a new well is quite lengthy. There's a lot of regulations and requirements around that process, and the city is still in the process of completing all of those tests and awaiting final permit approval from state regulators. From there, there's about a 1 to 2 month construction time frame for installation. What we've been doing recently while these improvements are underway are our staff's efforts to mitigate the impacts. More recently, the water plant did move to an extended 12-hour weekday work period. So we have staff on site 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday, so that the reverse osmosis units can be operated and monitored manually. This has resulted in almost immediate improvements in hardness and iron levels. This began mid last week, and so far we're very pleased with the outcome. We expect within the days ahead that will start to show itself in the actual water distribution system. In addition, staff is committed to getting the second sand filter back online as soon as that rehabilitation and all the safety testing requirements we have are complete. Once we have at least 2 of those sand filter units online, DPW will be able to expand its flushing efforts. But in the meantime, we will, weather permitting, as needed, spot flush. And of course, we continue to map complaints that we receive so that we can track hotspots, and we have that information to help us make decisions about flushing efforts now and in the future. To summarize, the solution is very near at hand and well planned for. Once those 2 green sand media filters are back online and the replacement flow meter is installed in the reverse osmosis unit, we can begin a more concentrated effort to flush throughout the system, promoting water turnover and drawing discolored and high hardness level water out of the system. Most of the needed improvements should be completed within the next 1 to 2 weeks, and then flushing will be weather dependent, but ideally completed before mid-December. Looking ahead, we do anticipate final permitting approvals and installation of well number 7 will occur in early 2024 so that the city can return to its normal citywide hydrant flushing efforts this spring. With well number 7 coming online, we can also complete our water reliability study and update our hydraulic water model to continue our efforts to accurately geolocate, assess, and maintain all of our infrastructure. In the meantime, we do still strongly encourage residents to use the citizen reporting tool. This lets us know when and where there are issues within the water distribution system. We understand that due to volume, sometimes staff isn't available to immediately respond, but that information is geotagged and saved so that we can monitor locations within the system. This is really designed to give us the tools that we need to design effective flushing strategies. And of course, any conversation about public utilities, we really try to encourage residents to consider signing up for the My Water app. Through that new smart meter program, this can help you to take better control of your utility usage and also allows for direct two-way communication with our team. At this time, we would be happy to take questions. Again, we're just asking that they be specific to the water treatment process or the system as a whole. If you have individual questions about your home, your bill, we're happy to stay around. We do have a few water tests available in the back, along with some additional information and cards. If you have questions that aren't related to water treatment, Mayor Morrow will be hosting a coffee hour this Saturday featuring State Representative Felicia Brabeck, County Commissioner Shannon Beeman. That event will be from 10 a.m. to 11:30 at Kerrigan Cafe, again on Saturday, November 18th, if you have non-water related questions. We have with us today Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, who will help with any questions.
If you have questions, feel free to put your hand up.
Mary Hess. This is regarding the well water. Years and years ago, we had the water as far as how far it went down before it hit the water, and also that we were on an aquifer. I don't know if you had heard that before. And have we had the water as far as how low our water is?
So the city is going through the process of siting for another well to add to our system. I don't have the geological information available at this time, but that would tell us where the water table falls in any given area. I don't know if there's anything either of you two want to add to that.
We are in an aquifer, and all the wells are in the same aquifer. And all the wells are approximately 90 to 100 feet deep, I think. So, and they're all tested annually as far as drawdown and things like that to make sure that we're not overstressing the aquifer and that everything gets supplied sufficiently.
Other questions?
This Barbara Losi, Celine in the Monroe Street. I just wondered about the item that you had to order. Why wasn't that on a shelf? You know, at home, you have to
Yeah.
do those things. You have to have them on the shelf, ready
Well,
to go.
unfortunately, this is an item that it's a critical item. It's the flow meter itself. And it is one of those things that I'm not sure how long it would last on the shelf. Sometimes you buy things and you put them on the shelf and 18 years later, the rubber started to go out of them, you know, deteriorated and things like that. I was surprised that no one had one on the shelf we could order and get. It had to be actually built, unfortunately. But now that we know that's the situation, like I say, it's been 18 or 20 years. Maybe we would just replace it in 15 years and move on from there. So it becomes part of our preventative maintenance program. We evaluate what we can do and what we can plan for and try and keep things moving that way.
Hi, this is Debbie Heinel, because I can't see you over top of that. So we live on Lexington Drive. I guess my question would be is, why is it that some homes are having so little and others having so much? Our water, and I know you don't want to talk about specifics, but I'm just saying compared in our neighborhood, our water has been dark brown, almost black. We've had black coming out. We've had our filter, which is supposed to have 15,000 gallons, requires it being changed in a week. So we wonder why some homes, and I would just also like to comment that we did file a complaint on your, we tried to follow your procedure. We put a complaint in, and the response was, bear with us, while our home is being really contaminated with dark brown. They came and flushed yesterday after having to go to DPW and asking. They did come, but why are some homes so much better than others? And are you registering those complaints and coming? Because nobody was coming until we pushed further to say, we've got to have some solution. This is a daily issue. And I can show you pictures, and we brought a terrible sample of what came out today out of our filter.
This is 12 days.
Director Searles, would you like to cover the topic of kind of why some areas are worse than others?
Well, if you visualize the water moving through the system very, very slowly, which it does, what happens in elevations, right, higher and lower pipe, the sediment tends to not want to travel up a hill, so to speak, stay on the lower end. And when that's coming through, it's kind of like a slug of discoloration. You are, let's say you turn your water on, it's coming into your system. It's coming into your house from the system until that slug gets by. What we've been trying to do to help alleviate as much as we can is flushing our dead ends as often as we can and reactive flushing. So we do track every one of the complaints. I just popped it up. This is as of today while we're going through this, and there's a lot of them. It fell off. But we are tracking them. We have the ability to take the time that the complaint came in and heat map the system. And there are areas that are worse than others for the issues. And my assumption is it's on the hydraulic grade of who's lower, who's higher.
These are our neighbors, and they have the same stuff.
right?
So, and that carries over to some of the future points that we talked about, which is completing the city's water reliability model, water reliability study and hydraulic modeling to help us identify, in addition to the data we have now, potential issue areas as we program out future capital improvements like water main lining or replacement efforts.
Pat Wanty, these people are going to have this problem for a long time. If you're explaining it correct, Larry, if they're at a low spot, they're always going to have sediment down in the pipes.
If well 4 hadn't gone down and we would have been able to unidirectionally flush the system, we would have gotten that out of there. We can get it out once we have the supply to do it.
Have you ever looked into pigging water system?
Extensively. We're looking at programming some ice pigging in the very near future of our larger mains. What I liked about what I learned about ice pigging is they can measure the result.
Could you maybe take a step back and explain for the general public just what ice pigging is?
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's poly pigging and ice pigging. A poly pig is where you take the main out of service, you put the pig in the main, it's abrasive, and it goes and beats the sediment off the pipe. With that, there's boil water, there's time that the residents, the customers are impacted without water. Ice pigging is a newer technology for pigging where they take the water that's in the system into a sterile environment, chills the water to a slush, and then it just pushes slush water, frozen water back through the pipe. That abrasion action is like 1,000 times more effective than water velocity running through it. And with that technique, we don't have to depressurize the system, open the system, and have boil water.
Oh, we lost the microphone. Okay.
Lisa Martin's Maple Village. So I guess I have one question is, I just thought all the problems we were having on Maple Road was because of the construction. So I hadn't really paid attention to the reporting part. Where is this reporting thing?
Sure. So the citizen, to repeat the question for anyone that couldn't hear it, the question was where to find the citizen reporting tool. That is available on the City of Saline website, so salinemi.org, under Report a Concern. And there's a myriad of different subject matters you can choose from. It's a fillable template, and you submit it, and it then filters to the correct department head to be alerted.
Thank you.
Did you have a question up there?
Hi, I'm Jim Arns. I happen to be the neighbor here that had the sample. If it's going to take until mid-December for some of these repairs to go into place, and it takes time for this water to get cleared, are we looking at something like mid-January before this problem might be mitigated? Are we looking at a long-term period that we need to deal with rusted and high corrosive water in our fixtures and our things in our homes?
So we've, to answer that question, we're already seeing positive results coming out of the plant with the switch to manual operation of the reverse osmosis unit. So in the next few days, we do expect that that will also be reflected in the testing we see inside the distribution system, which is where we collect out in the community. From that point, we have maybe another week before the repairs are completed, and then we can start doing that major line flushing. So that should all be completed before mid-December, and residents will start to see improvements slowly between now and then.
I'd like to address one comment you made. The water is really not corrosive. It is, the pH of it is between 7.5 and 8 usually, which is typical water pH. So there's nothing really harmful in the water. It's just, it looks nasty, it smells nasty maybe, but I see it, but it's not harmful, it's not pleasant, but it's not harmful. There's,
So we do want to stick to questions, so if we have another question.
anyway, the pH, the water itself is not corrosive. If we ran,
If it's not corrosive, why don't you drink it?
I will.
That's what I'm drinking right now, sir.
Grab it. Grab that one right there.
Okay, sir, we are trying to host an educational opportunity. If individuals have questions about the material presented, we are happy to answer those. If you have individual questions about your home, your bill, or questions that are unrelated to water treatment, again, there are other avenues for those. Thank you.
I have 2 addresses and 2 water bills, and I go to my advisor, water advisor, and I can only put 1 address in. And I've talked to the ladies here at the desk, and they called the company and they said it was something, they know it happens, but I'm gonna have to put another email address in there to get access to my other one. And that just doesn't make sense. You know, we're supposed to be able to watch our water and everything, but I'm not gonna start another email address to, watch a water meter type thing.
Thank you for putting that on my radar. I'd be happy to get your addresses after the meeting and follow up with our staff and our representative. Okay, great. I will follow up with them in the morning. Happy to do that.
Just another quick question. I mean, we always have trusted the city. I mean, this is a great town. The reputation's been wonderful. We've been happy to live here. And we always expected communications. We haven't seen any communication on this issue in anything. I mean, we didn't see it like when the water bill came out with what came with the water bill. We don't see it in the newspaper. We didn't get a letter. We initially, when we started having problems, we thought it was just, there couldn't be a big problem because they would have let us know. And so we just want to understand why there have been no communications that we've seen. And then also one other comment about communication on it. We noticed that there was a meeting on November 6th about the change in the water prices, which came out in the paper on November 8th to tell us about the November 6th meeting. So we just wanted to try to say if we hadn't looked online tonight about this to find this meeting, there was nothing that told people that are having issues that I saw in the paper or anywhere that this meeting was taking place, which seems fair to the community. We think that the Saline has always been great in so many ways, but that lack of communication just doesn't feel right for this city. Thank you.
So unfortunately, the city can only control the channels that it controls. We do put out press releases. What gets picked up or when it gets posted is really outside of our control. We try to focus on putting information on our website and on our social media page as often as we can. But in addition, the FYI only comes out quarterly. So this issue was not necessarily known at the time. That gets printed and prepared months in advance to then be ready in time for utility billing.
Hello, my name's Carol. My 2 young children here go to daycare at Play and Learn here in Saline. My question is, you mentioned the testing of the water is done at the distribution plant. Is any testing of the water done at people's homes or close by the spigots where the discolored water is being noticed?
Yes, so we do test within the distribution system, which is in the neighborhoods, 12 times a month for certain parameters, and then 4 additional times a month for different parameters. So that's in addition to at the plant.
Okay, so we're saying there is being testing done on the dark brown water, correct? Because if not, I have a water test we can
We
send it.
we have water tests available for residents in the back that are prepared. If you'd like to take one, they're free. There's instructions inside as well.
How extensive are these tests? Because the tests I have will test over 273 items.
The test, we don't have a commercial lab available at our water plant, so the parameters we test for are the ones that the state has regulations around.
Other questions?
I just have a comment. The person over here was talking about informing the community, and I'm in agreement. I think that you could do better. And you're telling us that this is how you do it, but I think what all of us are asking for is to do better. That's my comment.
We are happy to continue to present information in whatever channels we can find. I sincerely appreciate that comment and hope that by continuing to build relationships through the My Waters app, through other social media channels, perhaps we can expand that reach.
Yeah, we would like to see that as a community, that it gets better. However you choose to do it, we would like to see it get better.
You say social media, there's a lot of people out here that are not on social media, which I am the one of them. You know, you say Facebook, Snapchat, or whatever it is. I'm not on social media, so I don't get a lot of this information. And it, like the lady said, you read it in Saline Post, you know, online or something like that. That's the only place you can get it. So I can understand some people's frustration. They don't get notified of things, but the new way is, I know social media, but there's a lot of older people that aren't even on a computer.
We do have like a 411 app for individuals if you want to sign up. It's a text messaging service. But again, we don't have control over who will post what for us. We only have control over the channels that are controlled by the city and its staff.
Scott Rentschler, question to the gentleman that just spoke. How would you like this information delivered? Maybe that's a better question.
I have no idea how they get everyone, so that's.
Because getting information to the community is hard. If it's Facebook or whatever, there is a lot of people not on Facebook. There's no Saline Reporter anymore. There's just no central place. I don't know what the answer is. I think it's probably hard because we're not doing it yet.
Can I respond to Scott?
Sure.
One of the key features of the meters that we chose was the customer dashboard. I don't know how to get the message out. If you have that app, we can have direct communication. You can get the direct response from the water department when there's water issues. And it allows us to geo-border messages, so we can grab messages and send them direct, like if we had a water interruption. I've spent a lot of time and I haven't been here that long, but I have spent a lot of time making videos and posting them on the city's website to discuss these issues. I don't know how to reach everyone. For an example, when we did the Maple Road sewer expansion upsizing, we did a direct mailer to like 860 people, and I got 5 people show up. So I'm trying everything that we have control over, which is the Facebook, the city website, and every water customer has an app that once they're signed up, we can direct message back and forth. So, hey, water department, why didn't I hear from you? Here it is.
I was just going to point out that is it going to work? Oh, it's working. At Maple Village, we have a community water meter, so I don't have the app, and I'm sure other apartments are the same way. So that is kind of difficult. So maybe if you target multi-unit dwellings or something with a mailing or a flyer or something, that might help. So just a thought.
I am taking notes. I appreciate that.
And we do reach out to HOAs.
Yes,
So
we
if
do
you-
have a comprehensive list of HOAs. So if you're in a neighborhood association, typically a message will go to the HOA president or whatever email was given to us to file.
Years ago, I'm still Mary Hess. Anyway, years ago, we had an iron removal bond go through. Is that still working? The Mayor Beach would have been, that would have been, I said years ago.
That's probably the original, that's probably our rodeo. Yeah, based on that timeline, I'm gonna guess that's when the current process of the plant went into operation. So that's what we're doing now with the green sand media filters and the reverse osmosis.
Okay.
It reduces hardness, removes iron and other particulate matter from the groundwater.
Hi, I'm Sarah Batzer, and I just live over in North Lewis. I'm in talking about the testing of the water. I'm wondering, you had said how many items we test for in the water, and there must be a range between 0 and 1,000 items you could test for. And we're within the range? I mean, there must be a regulated amount you have to test for, but then there could be I know in some places they check for drugs in the water, because then they can see large cities when they've had a big drug drop off in that area. But that wouldn't even be useful for us here. So I'm wondering, this might have 216 things of it, but 115 might not even be appropriate for us. So where are we in that range, and are we spot on to where we're supposed to be on testing?
We have a list of items we are required to test for from Eagle. And I can't even remember the number right now, but it's a fair number on top of the PFAS that we have to test for. We're required to do that annually. And, well, I shouldn't say annually. Sometimes the test is every 3 years, sometimes the test is every 5 years. But there are many constituents that we're actually testing for, pesticides, things like that, in fact, we did that round of testing this year, and everything pretty much came back non-detect. There's none of that stuff in the water. So, no PFAS, anything like that.
We do, part of that regulatory environment requires that we submit an annual water quality report. So that is available on our website, and that has a little bit more detail in terms of what all we test for and what the end results were.
Just a comment, and I'll talk to Larry afterwards, but the comment on Lexington Drive that's been a known bad spot for 30 years when I'm flushing, and I guarantee that they live halfway between Colony and Lexington Court. And, there's 2 valves, and you flush theirs, but your ice pigging is definitely a candidate for that, and it is another spot.
I was just going to say that if it's possible for us to get our bills in a timely manner every single time, why is it not doable for the city to inform us about important things on that bill? For instance, that's one way to communicate with all of us, since we all get bills. How about communicating in that way and letting us know important snippets, not every single detail, but things like, this meeting tonight, for instance, things like that.
Sure. Again, the bills come out quarterly, so when we do know information in advance, that's a great point. I think we can make better use of that, especially as more people move to electronic billing. I think maybe the messaging could actually get bigger than the space we have limited in our printed bills.
The point being that all people get bills. I mean, not in this case that you talked about, but we all get bills. That would be a definite way to reach out to all of us, instead of your website and these types of things that certain elderly people, I mean, I can get on the website and I'm elderly, but lots of elderly people in this community cannot.
Sure. No, I really appreciate that comment.
And just to clarify, not everyone does get a bill. There are issues where tenants do not get bills. There are cluster homes. There are different situations. And so I mean, it is, you get the most of the population, you're never gonna get 100% all on that. But there are, and as Mr. Searles mentioned though, the My Water app is one of the best mechanisms that the city has brought about that's being completely underutilized at this time on both sides. I mean, the city can definitely start pushing more information through that avenue, but we'd like to see the residents utilizing it also and signing up for it.
Jim Heinel, I belong to her. I understand that well 4 failed. Do we know why it failed? Because it failed, are the other wells at risk of failure?
The other wells are most likely not at risk for failure because they've, for instance, number 3 has been repaired already. 5 and 6 are newer. Number 4, actually, like Larry, I haven't been here that long, but I've learned from my people that number 4 well was starting to emit some sand coming in with the water, and they really didn't do anything about it. It got so bad that it wore the well pump out. So instead of repairing the well lining, they just put a new pump in. So when this happened to us, there's actually a split in the seam of the casing. I'm assuming it's the weld point where they wrapped around and welded it together. And that, I don't know for how many, like 60 or 70 feet of that cracked. And so sand and dirt was coming in. So we just had to quit using it. We tried to repair it by putting some grout around the outside of it. And that ended up, we ended up fouling, the company that did it ended up fouling the screen at the bottom. And then they tried to get it out of the screen, the grout out of the screen, and they couldn't. And that's why we went to drilling well number 7. So.
In terms of the aquifer, is it maintaining its level?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Every house between Ann Arbor and Manchester draws from.
Right.
Has there been any investigation into an alternate source for water, like Yucca?
We've talked about it. It's one of those things you have to approach kind of carefully because we've got money invested in what we've got going, and to get water from Yucca, it's going to cause another investment in equipment to transmit it. Plus, there's always the political aspect. You know, how well will they work with us, that kind of thing.
Because Yucca is only 2 miles from here.
Right.
So we could tap into that in a matter of days if you ran the line on the south side of Michigan Avenue from State and Moon.
It would probably take a matter of better than a year by the time we jump through all the hoops. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the hoops we'd have to jump through with Eagle to make sure we did everything according to their processes. One of the reasons we're waiting so long for well number 7 right now is approval from Eagle.
Thank you.
And just to add to what Bill said, the well is up and running. We just can't hook to it yet. We have to wait for Eagle to say we can hook to it.
Oh, yeah.
What size wells are these that we have? And you say we have 7 of them? Are they 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch?
No, we had 5 when number 4 was in effect. Well, number 3, the size was reduced on that because we lined it because of similar deterioration of the original casing. So that doesn't, that's probably only about an 8-inch well, I think. The one we're putting in is actually a 16-inch casing. The well pump itself obviously won't be that large, but it will be able to supply 12 to 1,400 gallons a minute just from that well alone. I'm not sure how big 5 and 6 are. I want to say they're maybe 10-inch wells. I'm not positive, 10 or 12-inch.
And how old are some of these wells?
Well, 2 and 3 are very old. They're original wells, the original wells of the city. They drilled 5 and 6, I want to say, about the time the water plant went online in 2005, somewhere in that neighborhood. So not really old when you consider the age of wells. I mean, wells will last 50 years usually if you pay attention to them. That's That's the other thing is we're trying to do is the testing of the wells and making sure everything was working right hadn't been done for a couple of years. So we're re-implementing that and getting that done again so that it gives us an idea every year what shape that well's in. You know, is the pump itself starting to deteriorate? Do we need to pull it? Do we need to have it worked on? You know, things like that.
Other questions?
Sorry, my toddler says it's time to go. With this water testing, if I get a water sample, can I get a water sample from you guys, I'm assuming?
We've already got it tested.
Okay. If I get a water sample and the results, where can I send them?
Eagle has their own laboratory that you can send it to.
This is not Eagle Laboratory, this is TAP Score, that's its own company.
So you mean the results that you receive?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
you can send
send
those
to
to
us.
our, yes, the City Hall offices.
And then can it be shared with the public?
Certainly.
All right, well, if there are no further questions, as I mentioned earlier, staff will stick around for a little bit if anyone has specific questions about their property or issues outside of just water treatment. We're happy to answer those while we have the team here. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We really appreciate the questions, your patience, and thoughtful input.